Here we are again. Hi. Um, it is March 11, 2024. Hope you're all doing well. Hello, Linty London, Andrew Cruz, Rage Against the Machine, Phil Strange, and Alicia DeMoss. Hello. Thank you, Sherry Hughes. Thank you, Sherry Hughes. Tom, hey. Linty London, I said hello. Tony Bello. I didn't change the time. Kenosis, hello. Oracle 11, Patricia White. Michael Wilson, hi. Silent Walk, hello. Let me show you a picture of Anderson, South Carolina. The sky. This was sent to me by a subscriber in Anderson. Subscriber that I actually loved. That he would, on occasion, stop by the track where I was walking. I loved it because, well, it was social contact and we laughed and it was just nice. And it's hard, actually, to hear from people from Anderson, South Carolina. For some reason this week, I've heard from two. And it sure does trigger a lot for me. That life that I had that is gone. Yeah, I am really hurting. And I don't know how long I can continue this. So, let's just do tonight. This whale that was beached on a sandbar is now dead.
This is over in Central Florida right now, where you're looking at some of the footage provided by our Fox 13 Tampa team. This is a beached whale, a sperm whale that we did bring you that aerial footage of just yesterday as crews out there were working to free the whale that appeared to be stuck on a sandbar of some type. Fox 13 Tampa's Kelly Cowan has been out over in Venice Beach there, that's in Florida, to provide the latest details. She's gathering those after speaking with folks on the scene. And Kelly joining us now live. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us. What is the latest?
Well, the latest is that the whale did die overnight. So we understand that this is now a complete recovery effort. And marine scientists have been arriving since daylight to get ready for what they're planning to do here, which is a necropsy. And they're hoping to determine exactly what happened with this animal, why it ended up stranding itself. I'm actually joined by one of NOAA's marine scientists who's arrived this morning. And just give us the latest. What is the next? What are the next steps?
Right. So the next steps are we're going to get some heavy equipment on the beach. It's a very large whale, about 50 feet, pretty heavy, 60,000 pounds maybe, plus or minus a few thousand. And they're going to pull the whale up onto the beach as far as we can, as far as we're able to. And then they'll start to take some photos, some measurements, learn as much about this whale as they can, and then do a necropsy, which is like an autopsy, and to try to understand what might have caused this whale to die, learn as much as we can about it. It looks very thin, and so they'll just begin to investigate that.
Good, investigate it. More plane incidences. Passengers describe terrifying scenes during mid-air drop. At least 50 were injured on a flight to New Zealand from Australia. At least 50 passengers injured in what airline officials describe as a technical event that caused a LATAM Airlines flight from Sydney to Auckland, New Zealand, to experience a strong movement. That strong movement was down. And I was listening to NPR, it's funny how NPR you can get all over the country, but you can't seem to get an awful lot of the right news as opposed to the left news. But I was listening to this guy who was on the flight, and it took a sharp nosedive. And the pilot came all the way in the back, and he asked the pilot what happened, and the pilot said, they don't know, but everything stopped. It stopped working for a couple of seconds. Everything in the plane. Did it hit a frequency? Perhaps. So, passengers said the plane suddenly nosedived, and they saw people hit the ceiling of the Boeing 787 Dreamliner with such force that some panels were broken. They said some passengers were covered in blood, and doctors on board helped patch up people with broken bones. Boeing says it is working to gather more information about the flight. All those people that were not strapped in with their seatbelts became a flying object. Well, we're having difficulties with planes at a time when we all know they don't want us traveling. 50 injured. You know, this is a nothing.
Don't move back.
Atención, por favor, necesitamos un médico a bordo.
There's one doctor.
You just see people attending to the injured. And what else? Oh, a flight, KLM flight, from Amsterdam to Sao Paulo in Brazil. Is that Brazil? Yeah. Is declaring an emergency. They don't know what the emergency is, apparently. Let's see. Here. No, not there. Where? Well, there was a... Here. Nope. Wrong one. Nope, wrong one. Okay. That's Squawk. It's Squawk 700. They don't know why. But it was diverted back. So, yeah. I suppose if you're going to fly the friendly skies, I hope you're praying a lot. A former Boeing employee whistleblower has been found dead in South Carolina. John Barnett, former Boeing employee known for raising concerns about the firm's production standards, has been found dead in Charleston County, South Carolina. He worked for Boeing for 32 years until his retirement in 2017, the days before his death. He had been providing evidence in a whistleblower lawsuit against the company. Wow. That's... hey, it can't be associated with him being a whistleblower, right? 62-year-old died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound on March 9. Self-inflicted gunshot wound. This is John.
One, this is not a 737 problem. It's a Boeing problem. And I know the FAA's gone in and they've done due diligence and inspections to assure that the door plugs of the 737 are installed properly and the fasteners are torqued properly. But my concern is, what's the rest of the airplane? What's the rest of the condition of the airplane? And the reason my concern for that is back in 2012, Boeing started removing inspection operations off their jobs. So it left the mechanics to buy off their own work. So what we're seeing with the door plug blowout is what I've seen with the rest of the airplane, as far as jobs not being completed properly, inspection steps being removed. issues being ignored. My concerns are with the 737 and the 787 because those programs have really embraced the theory that quality is overhead and non-value added. So those two programs have really put a strong effort into removing quality from the process. When I first started working at Charleston, I was in charge with pushing back defects to our suppliers. And what that meant was I'd take a group of inspectors and actually go to the supplier and inspect their product before they sent it in. Well, I'd taken a team of 4 inspectors to Spirit Aerosystems to inspect the 41 section before they sent it to Charleston. And we found 300 defects. Some of them were significant that needed engineering intervention. When I returned to Charleston, my senior manager told me we had found too many defects and he was going to take the next trip. So the next trip he went on, he took 2 of my inspectors. And when they got back, they were given accolades for only finding 50 defects. So I pulled that inspector aside and I said, did Spirit really clean up their act that quick? That don't sound right. And she was mad. She said, no. Said the 2 inspectors were given 2 hours to inspect the whole 41 section and they were kicked off the airplane.
He doesn't seem like a man that would kill himself. No. Over 80% of tattoo inks contain unlisted substances that can cause organ damage and allergies, contaminated with unlisted ingredients that can cause serious health issues, including organ damage. Got a tattoo? And here, I'll just play a few minutes of this, but I will link to it below. You can watch the entire video. But yeah, the weapons that they are using against us.
These criminal cabal globalists are doing everything they can to create their new world order and are obviously destroying food supplies and legislating death all around us. But if that's not bad enough, they're using technology to do even more damage. Like John Bound points out in this report, and how I've already exposed this evil in past videos I've done about Paradise, California and Lahaina, Maui. These godless men continue to use technology against mankind in the most godless and evil ways.
File and ready.
Fly over these areas that are burned to the ground, you'll see in the midst of 20 homes that are just totally destroyed, one home sitting there because they have the right roof on it.
Yes, and by the way, if you notice you fly over in the helicopter, those places with good roofs, they didn't burn. It's the right materials. Yeah.
Joe Biden's recent comments are alarming. The average person isn't supposed to know that the U.S. and Chinese military have been testing field-ready ground and space-based DEWs or directed energy weapons for at least a decade. Instead, we are supposed to sit down and shut up and believe it is a Jewish space laser conspiracy theory.
Can you tell me why so many people that support Donald Trump love conspiracy theories, including yourself, about Jewish space lasers? Tell us about Jewish space lasers.
No, why don't you go talk about Jewish space lasers? And really, why don't you off? How about that?
According to the U.S. Government Accountability Office, directed energy weapons can produce force that ranges from deterrent to damaging to destructive. Many countries, including the U.S., are researching their use. Different types of electromagnetic energy have different properties. High-energy lasers produce a very narrow beam of light, usually in the infrared to visible region, and are typically used on one target at a time. The beam can be pulsed or continuous, generating a power output of at least 1 kilowatt. This output is 200,000 times greater than a typical laser pointer and is capable of melting steel.
These things pulse at different frequencies to optimize the damage.
Evidence of a CCP satellite over Maui is known.
There's 3 fires on the Maui Island. The first one that happened was on August 7 on the Olinda fire. That was a big one. And then what happened after that was the Lahaina fire. That was the nasty one that killed all those people. And the third one was the Kula fire, which happened after the Lahaina fire. So there's three blasts and 2 satellites, basically. 3 shots and 2 satellites is just too much of a coincidence for it not to be a do, basically.
As is the phenomenon of the lasers being unable to ignite the color blue.
And also the blue factor, too. I calculate this as a near infrared or near spectrum, and that's why it's not damaging blue colors.
That is overwhelming evidence that should be admissible in a court of law.
In China, the CCP now is just releasing data on their petawatt lasers. They're doing petawatt laser bursts on a laser that fits on a lab table. It's not a very big laser, basically. But when you have lasers of this energy, it's just instant damage. Very, very powerful lasers.
Some extraordinary damage in our state could be caused by hurricanes or tornadoes. And frequently when you see the aftermath of that damage, there's some semblance of a structure that is still there. When you look at the damages that have occurred here, it's just gone, completely gone.
And as we realize that the government is at the very least complicit in the COVID vaccine genocide, what makes you think that they wouldn't use dues supported by lawfare to drive people off their land, to cordon the population into smart cities in order to quicken United Nations Agenda 2030?
Yeah.
Not something you see every day.
Oh, geez, it was soft. I mean, it went back and forth. At least, I would say 40 minutes to an hour.
But for people living in Cape Coral, they've been seeing it a lot this week.
It was really late at night. It was kind of around midnight. And I was actually in my car. I was just getting home, and I saw it going back and forth with a laser beam, and it scanned over me multiple times. And it was just moving. It was scanning the whole area, every square footage, basically.
When it came by, you could see the green laser light spread out, like it was mapping. We were talking about it was mapping the areas, what we were told.
When you put the information Casey provided into the FAA website, it comes back with this information saying it's registered to Randigo LLC, but it's unclear who or what they're doing.
And we just want to know what's going on, why we're being scanned.
Furthermore, wouldn't a covert satellite-based laser weapon in concert with known weather modification technology capable of waging mass murder, land theft, and agricultural devastation benefit the Great Reset greatly by merely hiding behind the climate change narrative?
Yeah. Right. Absolutely. How about... where is it? I'm looking for one video that I really should have organized. It's right here. All of this is connected to the terrifying United Nations 2030, Agenda 2030.
That once lived on farms and in rural areas, so-called wildlands, will be relocated to cities, now referred to as human settlements.
And the idea is that if you concentrate populations into specific areas or zones, less energy usage, less water usage, and less transportation. So people will have less reason to leave home. They'll stay in their homes. They may even work out of their homes. And so they're not going to be using their cars. They're not going to be using energy. And they're not going to be using water.
Since, as we saw earlier, the UN is not big on property rights, it should come as no surprise that the first private property to be phased out will be single-family homes, what socialists at UN headquarters consider suburban sprawl. Instead, we the people will live in apartments and condos in megacities near railroad tracks. Our super tall dwelling units will all be built to UN-specified building codes authorized by ICLEI, COGS, the ADA, and a myriad of NGOs and other friends of sustainable development. While the animals run wild in continental corridors, we, the humans, will live in transit villages and smart cities.
Smart growth, or new urbanism, is that ideology that says that you shouldn't have more space than you actually need. So if you're a couple of people living in a 3-bedroom house, well, you don't need that extra space. So why do you have it?
There's a clear, concerted effort to make it really just about as miserable as possible to exist and use your own private transportation, own your own home. All impetus and incentive, in financial and otherwise, is to convince people that it is unsustainable to live in your own home, have air conditioning. It is their duty as a human being, as a global citizen, you see, you basically exist and little more.
Our high-rise, stack-and-pack dwelling units, complete with smart meters and smart heating systems, will make sure no one uses too much energy. And if they do, the energy police, with help from the neighbors and eye-on-the-street surveillance systems, will be right there to handle the situation.
If they can put 1,000 people in one building, it's a whole lot easier to know what they're doing, where they're going, and how they're thinking than it is you got 1,000 people living in a rural or suburban area. And so the stack and pack is multi-story buildings, multiple families living in the same spot, walking in and out of the same door, always being able to be managed. And smart meters play a big role in that management, and they can measure everything that you do in your life when you're using smart appliances.
If you have a garden or a single-family residence, while you're watering your garden, you maybe have more than one bathroom, you're taking too many showers, you're using more than your 10 gallons of water a day. And this is unsustainable. So you need to be removed from your single-family residence.
Anybody that's got a couple of acres of land and his own water supply and can grow his own food, these people are a threat to the collectivist society, because they aren't going to go to the politicians and say, please feed me, please clothe me, please give me shelter. That's the secret behind Agenda 21. They want people out of the country. They want corporations out there growing all the food and that kind of thing, but they don't want anybody living out there.
To describe human settlements and the food sheds that sustain them as modern-day concentration camps might be a little over the top, because with no cars, parking lots, or air travel, everyone will walk and use bikes, so they will be fit and healthy, at least as healthy as the genetically modified foods they are forced to eat.
Yeah, there ain't no getting healthy in our country anymore. South Carolina has now a constitutional carry. They can carry without a permit or training loaded handguns. They join they're now the 29th state in the country with constitutional carry. And yeah, what? I wouldn't be able to do this. I would lose my job. CVS leadership training requires participants to confess privilege, make allyship pledges. All employees. Ah, yes. I don't know why people say things like this. All right, so Texas is lying to you, and I'm not talking about that, but Joseph, are you really literally the only person trying to repel the illegal aliens? You're the only person?
So what we are seeing here is that illegal aliens are trying to enter the U.S. border. How is the state of Texas going to react once they are here? The border is open. What is about to happen now? these people across the river. This is not a port of entry. They should not.
Okay, so all of the National Guard and everybody, protecting the Texas border. It's bullshit. They let them in. They just let them in. Shadowy network of how NGO supplies mega corporations with migrants to exploit cheap labor. They're already using them for cheap labor. 1 week ago, we wrote a note describing how illegals are obtaining jobs through a federal government loophole. And what is it? Well, they have a 5-year guarantee of jobs while they wait for their asylum hearings. But here, California Democrat wants taxpayer-funded lawyers for illegals convicted of serious and violent crimes. Taxpayers should be paying for their lawyers? Well, unless the people stand up, this is what is going to be happening. Judge upholds Biden program flying 30,000 asylum seekers a month directly into the U.S. of A. U.S. District Judge Drew Tipton turned away a Republican challenge to a Biden administration program that flies 30,000 asylum seekers a month directly into the United States. The asylees being allowed in under this program: Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela. Dismissing the challenge, Judge Tipton claimed that the states affected had not shown an economic burden. Are you flippin' kidding me? They had not shown an economic burden? Who were the states? Texas, Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas, Florida, Idaho, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Tennessee, Utah, West Virginia, and Wyoming. Really? And Venezuela is refusing to accept the repatriation of its own citizens from the United States. So Venezuela is saying, you take them in, you keep them. Ramadan last year, and this year they're bombing them. There is no ceasefire. They're still attacking. The IDF attacking those trying to get to a mosque for Ramadan. Israeli sergeant from a battalion next year will burn the school and beat up all of the teachers too. And it's so much fun to watch schools burn in Gaza. May they die, all these trash terrorists. Whores.
בשנה הבאה נשרוף את בית הספר ונרביץ גם לכל המורות. איזה כיף לראות בתי ספר נשרפים בעזה. שימותו כל המחבלים הזבלים האלה, שרמוטות מזדיינים, פוסים אמא שלהם. אחלה יום שיהיה. בשנה הבאה
Israeli warship firing on a Palestinian paddle boat trying to catch fish. that's something terribly, terribly wrong with the two-legged. Further investigations confirm that October 7 at the Nova Festival, the IDF Apache helicopters killed. I don't know about the majority. I haven't verified that, but they killed an awful lot. The IDF killed an awful lot of Israelis.
In the chaotic early hours of October 7, Israeli forces scrambled to engage Hamas fighters. Apache helicopter gunships fired onto cars driving towards Gaza, aware that some of them were carrying captives.
אני באוויר, באחת הגיחות נאמר כבר שיש חטופים.
ואז מה עושים? איך מבצעים ירי על מי שחוזר לכיוון הגבול?
זו שאלה טובה, וזו דילמה סופר מורכבת.
כל ההחלטה עכשיו היא אליך. אין לי מי לדבר.
כן, אין לי מי לדבר.
Without guidance, some pilots said they joined local WhatsApp groups to help pick targets.
The idea that pilots have to get information from WhatsApp groups is truly remarkable. It's a sign of the initiative that people are looking for any way that they can get the information. This is an outrage. I mean, what kind of a way is that to fight a modern war?
At least 70 vehicles were hit by attack helicopters.
To me, it's inexcusable for a helicopter or any weapon system to be engaging any target if you don't know what that target is. Now, my concern is, with this footage, we cannot tell whether they're Hamas gunmen or civilians or possibly hostages. And I don't believe the helicopter pilot or the machine gun operator will be able to tell either.
These big rounds have a certain area effect and obviously come at a certain rate that if you shoot at a group of people, you're most likely going to kill everyone. You are knowingly putting your own civilians at risk.
The I unit compiled a detailed list of those killed on October 7. It found that 27 captives died somewhere between their homes and the Gaza fence. The circumstances of those deaths have not been explained. 12 more civilian deaths took place in Be'eri Kibbutz after an attack by police and army forces on a house there containing captives. Israel's Channel 12 spoke to survivors.
והם הביאו פתאום טנק, ואני אומרת לאחד החיילים, תגיד, אבל אם אתם יורים פגזים זה לא יפגע בבני ערובה? אז הוא אומר לי, לא, אנחנו רק עושים את זה בצדדים, להוריד קירות. הם נהרגו מרסיסים, הם לא נהרגו כי רצחו אותם. הם נהרגו מהירי. היה שם ירי מטורף על הבית. מטורף. טנק הגיע וירה בפגזים. אז היה. אם זה קרה, זה היה, אם הם מתו כל הבני ערובה, זה רק מהירי.
The investigative unit asked the Israeli army for comment on its actions on October 7. They did not reply. Peter Charlie, Al Jazeera.
The psychopathic narcissists blame it on everyone else, do not accept responsibility for anything at all. And we've got a lot of them all over, roaming around. How could we possibly live anything but evil in this world? Casket of a journalist. Shireen Abu Akleh, the Christian American journalist who was shot in the head by Israeli security forces. Israel killed her, denied it, and then attacked her funeral procession. U.S. did nothing about it, of course. And this is a protest. Oh, a protest. The president, Herzog, goes to Amsterdam to celebrate this opening of a Holocaust museum in Amsterdam. And there were a lot of protests. Yeah, he goes there talking about how, never again, while he is doing it again. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I don't these people, thank God there are some out on the street speaking up against these people. They are literally disgusting. Disgusting. Okay, if you want to, I watched it. I can't play these. If you want to watch it, go ahead. But it just feels like there's no real good substance in life. You know, I just, our children, please, talk about never again. Talk about never again. Look at this. Starving children in Gaza. Look at this. My God. Never again. Always remember, never again. While they do the exact same thing again.
يوسف هادي كيف حالك؟
اروح اروح
Zionists are absolutely furious over Jewish director Jonathan Glazer calling for the end to the genocide in Gaza. Oh, the Academy Awards were last night.
In the present, not to say look what they did then, rather look what we do now. Our film shows where dehumanization leads at its worst. It shaped all of our past and present. Right now, we stand here as men who refute their Jewishness and the Holocaust being hijacked by an occupation which has led to conflict for so many innocent people. Whether the victims of October the 7th in Israel or the ongoing attack on Gaza, all are victims of this dehumanization. How do we resist? In the present, not to say look what they did then, rather look what we do now.
Yes, look what we do now. Americans, focus on what we're doing. Because we're part of the genocide that's going on. Yeah. Israeli occupation soldiers pose for a picture inside a Palestinian home in Gaza while Palestinians who are blindfolded and tied up in the background. Sick motherfuckers right here. Trucks entered Gaza. What were these trucks? And bulldozers. All for the building of the American military base off the coast of Gaza. Those trucks can come in. You don't have Israeli snipers killing those people. The humanitarian aid, though, not so much. But we're going to build a military base. Let them come right on through. Israeli cultural annihilation of Gaza. The listening post. This is 9 minutes long, but if you want to hear the abject devastation wrought by the IDF, click on the link. I'm only going to play a few minutes.
The scale of destruction in Gaza today one needs to understand the nature of the war Israel has launched against Palestinians. We're not talking about conventional warfare. This is a war of annihilation that targets the foundations of society. We've seen universities bombed, libraries, museums. Israel is trying to prevent Palestinians from reclaiming and re-establishing life in Gaza as they knew it. My name is Jihad Abu Salim. I'm from the city of Deir al-Balah, located in the middle of the Gaza Strip. It's where I grew up and spent most of my life. Gaza City was the only Palestinian coastal city that was not conquered by Zionist militias in 1948. And that gave Gaza huge significance and placed it as the beating heart of preserving Palestinian nationalism and furthering the Palestinian cause for liberation and emancipation. By destroying universities, museums, libraries, and archives, Israel seeks to make our memory, whether it's collective, institutional, inaccessible. It's an assault on continuity. They want to force people out of Gaza, but also they want to make sure that if people return to Gaza, they find nothing and dwell for eternity in this limbo of nothingness, in this void.
And in void, very hard to pick yourself up out of a void. Very hard. I don't know how they're going to recover from this. When technocrats intentionally sabotage a nation's energy supply, don't we know it? Of course we do. And here, this article, I read it, but I didn't highlight any of it. Well, this is what goes on, and it's been going on for a very, very long time. The head of the government's climate watchdog told officials to kill a negative story, news story, with technical language. The head of the Climate Change Committee, it's a radical net zero, and he is a radical net zero activist and a technocrat when the CCC was challenged about faulty data that sent the UK into a condition of permanent energy shortage with this net zero policy. Well, the CEO of the UK's climate watchdog promptly told staff to kill the story with technical language. So much for openness and accountability, and we don't have it anywhere anymore. France, their hate speech, right? This hate speech. France, a new law called the Pfizer Amendment, is seeking to criminalize critics of Pfizer and their technology with up to 1 year in prison or $15,000 in fines. Why are Western countries kind of copying the legislation of other Western countries and implementing it? Why? Maybe there's like a new world order and everything is changing, and our puppets who refer to themselves as leaders are puppets getting instruction from, well, the World Economic Forum for one, Klaus Schwab's, the globalists. You want encouragement to keep going. And when you don't have it, you're just like, fuck it. Who cares? So yeah, France, hate speech, free speech on trial in the U.S. In a lifetime of observing policy controversies and court cases, we've never witnessed anything as crucial to the future of the idea of freedom itself compared with what will transpire on March 18, 2024. On that day, the Supreme Court will hear arguments in Murphy versus Missouri concerning whether the government can force or nudge private companies to censor users on behalf of regime priorities. The evidence that they have been doing so is overwhelming. That's why the Fifth Circuit issued an emergency injunction to stop the practice on grounds that it is inconsistent with the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. The censorship industrial complex is working right now and hourly to delete free speech in America. That injunction was stayed pending a review by the highest court. The case itself hasn't even gone to court. This decision is only about the injunction itself, which was issued based on the alarming results of discovery alone. Essentially, the lower court is screaming, "This must stop." The Supreme Court is trying to assess whether the violations of liberty are extreme enough to justify a pretrial intervention now. Extreme enough? What standard? What legal standard is that? We're all in big shit. France, Canada, UK, US. A positive ruling for the plaintiffs doesn't solve every problem, but at least it will mean that freedom still stands a chance in this country. A ruling for the defense, which is essentially the government itself, will give license to every federal agency, including those that operate in secret like the FBI and CIA, to threaten every social media and media company in this country to delete any and all content that runs contrary to the approved narrative. Free speech is everything. If we don't have it, we have nothing, and freedom is toast. All other problems pale in comparison. There are plenty of them, from healthcare to immigration, but if we don't have free speech, we can't get the truth out about any of them. The censorship industrial complex is wholly dedicated to making sure that we have no debates at all and that dissident voices are not even heard. Yeah. The people need to be heard. The people need to come together and fight to save their freedom. Will they do it? Hey, I'm taking a survey. Will they do it? Hell no, is my answer. Arizona. University of Arizona teaches white students that they're violent oppressors because of their skin. Is this you, Arizona? I'm going to think that it is. But yeah, if you're white, straight, or male, you're a privileged oppressor. They teach that whiteness makes you violent. And that is a giant societal power system called the Kiriarchy? Kiriarchy? Wow. Well, that's a new one for me. Which includes white privilege and cis privilege. Beware the giant. Kiriarchy. Power system. Whiteness makes you violent. Whiteness is a blank check. Merit and democracy are myths. We've got Gaza. We've got an awful lot of things that are overshadowing an awful lot more that continues to go on. And this student, in critical condition after being brutally beaten with her head smashed against the pavement by a mob of students, multiple people watch and do nothing, You won't hear about this story on MSM. Actually, you will. They did do a story on this, and I'll post the link in. I can't watch this, but I'm telling you, the violence in schools is nothing like what I experienced. Nothing. And when you think about all of these kids who are subjected to the indoctrination, to being told that, well, one student's color, they're the oppressor, the other student's colors are the oppressed. These are kids, these are young kids who believe what the adults are telling them. Don't you think it might make some of those who are not white angry at the white oppressor kids? But then they're subjected to the blasting of very dangerous electromagnetic frequencies, which can make them violent. This is what we're doing. This is what the adults in our country are doing. Destroying these children. Whether the child who's violent and beating up on the victim, they're all being destroyed. Is there any hope for this country? No. No. Not when you have generations like this. You need a generation of healthy, young, who have proper education. And we all know what that is. And they're not getting it. They're not getting it. 5G tower next to school. Look at the warning signs. Beyond this point, radio frequency environment area, danger.
So I'm not typically a stickler for safety, but this is kind of going beyond the line for me. Right above this point. Right, caution. So above that point is a school. So I'm not typically a stickler for safety, but this is kind of going beyond the line for me. Right above this point. Right, caution. So above that point is a school. So I'm not
Yeah, well, this has been going on for a long time. And Dawn E., you seem to come in and say the same thing. Too much tonight. Can't take it tonight. Why do you even come in? So, man arrested and charged after being caught on camera abandoning his German Shepherd. I couldn't watch this. I still can't watch it. I will put the link in the chat. Okay. Okay. Thank God for the good souls. For the good souls. We need more of them, that's for sure. Yes, it was very disturbing, that school fight, and I can't. Some of the stuff that I see, I don't even include because it's too horrifying, but it's going on, for sure. And some stuff that I do see, and I include, I just can't see it again. You know, it is too much. Only getting worse and worse. So, can Americans have hope? Can Americans have hope? This is Paul Craig Roberts, and you know what? I stopped reading after it was all about Trump and Biden and politics, and I could give a shit at this point. because, well, hey, vote for the lesser of two evil. That sure got us to a good place, didn't it? I suspect that some of my readers are getting worn down by the continuing refusal of our rulers and manipulators to acknowledge any truth. I myself get worn down. Tucker Carlson's interview with Steve Kirsch reveals that it is impossible in the medical world to speak the truth. The top doctors and medical research scientists cannot state the truth about this thing and these things without losing their job and becoming a non-person. What this means is that the medical profession is forced to protect Big Pharma's profits and the reputations of Fauci, NIH, CDC, FDA, and WHO at the expense of human life and health. So, growing up hearing how life is precious, bullshit! It was just another bullshit thing that people said. Obviously, it is not precious for an awful lot of people. The majority, Americans on the whole. If it was, wow, there would be a real transformation. So we've got to get to our genuine, authentic self. And how do you do that? By admitting the bullshit that you've lived up to this point, recognizing that you've been bullshit. What this means is that, protecting them. The prostitutes are lined up with those who dictate the narrative. Movies such as The Matrix and V for Vendetta are not fantasy movies. They are accurate reports on our time. Soon we need to take a day off and celebrate our cats, our animal friends, our wives, our husbands, our children, parents, human friends. There is still a lot out here for us. And I will say, the us he is referring to is not everybody. The us are those who have not suffered the consequences of the evil that is taking place. Because an awful lot of people have lost it all. And they don't have the, there's a lot here for us. And it reminds me of this comment that I got last night. I'm not saying anything as a joke. I'm saying we still have the capacity for joy even in the darkest of times. What does somebody mean by the darkest of times? Because a whole lot of people haven't experienced the darkest of times. Not in their individual lives. But a whole lot of individuals are experiencing very dark times. So, that came from a subscriber who still has, who hasn't lost. And I'm not saying that, that subscriber's life is fine and dandy and, you don't have challenges or problems. No, I'm not saying that. But it's very different when you lose everything. Especially when you've lost everything due to external forces beyond your control. That's when it gets really dark. And there are millions of us. But us that have been marginalized, and you don't hear anything about them. We recognize that life is for those that John Paul Roberts is talking about. Craig Roberts, sorry. Those who get destroyed are off into the margins, not seen and not heard. Life is for all of you. Maybe some of you are hanging on, maybe some of you have lost things, but those who still have their home, still paying their bills, still have a stable life, have friends, have parents, have, family or whatever, you don't know dark. Yet. And it's hard. Unbearable. Painful. So for those who don't know it yet, try your best to have compassion for those who do. Recognize them. Maybe somebody will recognize you when you're in that darkness. Let's look at the year before us. I have already written that 2024 is likely to be a determining year for the Western world. 2 wars are ongoing, on which the West is on the wrong side. Equally important is this year's presidential election. It is completely obvious that Trump is the favorite. The corrupt Republican establishment was unable to find voters who accept to challenge Trump for the nomination. Trump is hands down the people's choice. All a staged play. We're recognizing it. Trump is saying what the voters want to hear. Unfortunately, you gotta watch what he's doing. And even saying, oh, he's 100% in support of what Israel is doing to the Palestinians. That means you have a psychopath that you're rah-rah-rahing. And when you have a psychopath who doesn't care about all of the innocent people being killed over there, do you think he cares about you and all of the people who are being destroyed here? No, he doesn't. And let's just have a brief intermission. That was very cool. Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? All right, I'm going to put the link into this because I don't know if I did last night, but yeah. I might be homeless soon. I'll just pick up from where I left off last night. Just listen for a few minutes. This is happening to so many people. And I'd love to say something's got to give, but nothing's going to give.
But I rang a real estate agent about one and had a conversation with him, and he was super lovely, which is great. But he was telling me that for every rental, that is currently on the market, the real estate agencies are getting over 100 applications. So at this point, securing rental accommodation here in Queensland is essentially just a lottery. With those kind of numbers, you got a 1% shot at securing the property. Like, it is really crazy here. And this was absolutely not something I ever expected. Like, this 100% was not on my 2024 bingo card. Like, I was expecting, like every year that has passed for the last several years, to get a rent increase and to have the lease renewed, because I have given the landlord absolutely no reason not to renew the lease. I pay my rent on time. I've always paid my rent on time. I have a secure income. I have had a secure income for years. I have done absolutely no damage to the property at all. It is really well maintained. The only thing I have done to be in this situation at the moment is be a renter in Australia. That's the only mistake I've made. Like, I'm an ordinary person with an ordinary job, but it's all remarkably reliable. And yet, in a couple weeks' time, I'm potentially homeless. Like, it is really bad here. And I don't know how to explain to people how shocking and destabilizing and frightening it is to just be kicked out of your home in a couple weeks, to just get something in the mail that says you have to leave your home in a couple weeks. Like, this is no longer your home, pack up and go. Like, if you're a renter, you are very, very vulnerable right now, and you can get that email at any time saying, okay, the landlord's pulling the plug, and there are reasons landlords can do that. But yeah, so in the next couple of weeks, I don't know quite what my content is going to be, but my guess is that there's going to be an absolute ramping up of cleaning and decluttering videos, because I literally have to pack everything that I own. Everything that is in this house has to go into a box and go somewhere.
Yeah. Very destabilizing. Your mind gets so, like, you can't even think. I hope she can find a place. But knowing what's going on in Australia, it's very hard. Do we need all people in our countries to start screaming? Yeah. But unfortunately, the haves, well, most judge the soon-to-be have-nots, and then judge the have-nots. I suppose it makes it easier to just go on not doing anything. Maybe. But humanity is in a piss-poor state. Father killed wife and 3 children in a fatal stabbing before he stabbed himself. Okay. Honolulu. Horrific crime, among the deadliest in history. Children's ages 17, 12, and 10. Killed himself, killed his wife, killed his children. Okay, that is going to increase an awful lot. Gen Z is giving up food to pay bills. Marty, why are you taking personally what I'm saying? Why? Do you think if the populations in our Western countries actually cared, genuinely cared about, well, all of the issues, but just this issue with everybody being thrown out, going homeless, the elderly going homeless, and started screaming, don't you think that there would be an awful lot of pushback that would be responded to? Of course. Of course there would be. When you see that it doesn't happen like that, you know that there's an awful lot of people who don't care. When only a few care, it doesn't seem to do anything, right? So was I talking to you specifically? No. No. But there's a very real obvious going on in all of our countries. When we have few that care, little gets done, and almost nobody gets protected. Gen Z giving up food to pay bills. Gen Z is likely to skip meals due to the fact that they are likely to have the least amount of assets due to time and ability by which to save. Gen Z and millennials have a bullet on their backs with high debt levels accumulated during college and the job market for them drying up right in front of their faces. But the economy is doing beautifully, so why don't they have jobs? See, when you're stuck in a lying, psychopathic, narcissistic system with everybody lying, oh, not you, I don't know you, but the politicians and the mainstream media lying, a whole lot of the adults accepting all of these lies, you destroy people. You destroy people by accepting all of the lies. And you leave the younger generations with a whole lot of burden to carry. And those that accept all of the lies, oh, the economy is doing well. They just don't want to work. Bullshit. Bullshit. And anybody who could see even just a little bit of reality of what is happening in this country could very well see there's no hope. So you leave the younger generations with no hope, with a whole shitload of bills, and then you have people who say, well, they shouldn't have gone. They shouldn't have gone to college. They should have known. Really? Oh, okay. Like everybody knows exactly what's going on? The young who have been lied to in a much more outrageous way than we were, baby boomers, constantly being lied to. Go to college and you'll get a good job. Then finding out the good job is at Starbucks. Good job, baby boomers. Good job. Oh, I know. What are you talking about, the baby boomers? It's not the baby boomers' fault. Oh, it's baby boomers who are the rulers and the leaders and the globalists and those accepting all of the lies. A whole lot of baby boomers. I've spoken to an awful lot of subscribers who were not baby boomers, either Gen X's or millennials. They talk about their parents believing all of the horseshit and not helping them out because they think their children are lazy and they don't want to work. Believing there are jobs out there. You're not thinking positively enough. You're not working hard enough to get a good job. That's what acceptors of lies do to those who are suffering the consequences of the lies. Who's more dangerous? Those who accept the lies or those who lie? I'll tell you, those who accept the lies. They're more dangerous because it's like they're watering cans, watering the liar. Please lie more. Please lie more. I won't hold any of you accountable. Please keep lying. Keep lying. the watering can. You hold accountable liars and you shut them up. You don't? Oh boy, the liars just get to lie and lie and lie. Like you're watering flowers. And then they just blossom and they bloom and they fuck up everybody's lives. Expect another surge in food prices fueled by dynamic pricing. I will tell you, that scares the shit out of me because when I go shopping, it's scary now. It's scary. So, you know, Gen Zers not eating food so they can pay their bills. The elderly, you know, it's between taking their medicine or you know, paying a bill, a light bill, or food. This is what we are as a people. You know, if you can't understand that, how it comes right down to how we all operate in life, then you can only be a part of the problem, not a part of the solution. And the reckless $7.3 trillion budget? Really? A proposed budget that would boost federal spending to $7.3 trillion in the next fiscal year. To pay for it, they plan to raise taxes on the wealthy and large corporations. Really? It's going to be the wealthy and large corporations? It's not going to be mom and pop? Because it's always mom and pop. And it's never corporations. And it's never the wealthy. And Americans, don't you get that yet? This is, you know, all of the pomp and circumstance ceremonies. You got the Academy Awards. You got, you know, the pomp and circumstance crap that goes on in Washington, D.C. that is very, very costly. And then all the people who are celebrating themselves, government agencies, spending a shitload of money. That money could be going to help Americans.
And provides assistance to tens of thousands of low-income residents across Cuyahoga County. But tonight, News 5 investigators uncovered the big bucks the Cuyahoga Metropolitan Housing Authority spent to celebrate its own anniversary. And as thousands sit on waiting lists for housing help, some are questioning the agency's decision. News 5 investigator Scott Knoll has more on what he's discovered and how CMHA's leader defends that six-figure spending.
This isn't how Tanita Anderson planned life.
Sometimes I stand here like this, just waiting for a day where I have a different view.
The 55-year-old shares an apartment with a friend, much of what she owns.
This is it, and it's been like this since November of 2020.
Packed away in boxes, waiting for a lifeline.
And I scrolled through.
She spent years looking for
nothing.
Anderson is one of 10,000 people on CMHA's waitlist for public housing.
No.
And nearly 15,000 families are waiting for housing vouchers, according to CMHA records.
How tough is it to find quality, affordable housing?
Tough. And I did not know until I became a person in need.
She never thought she would. She worked most of her life, but then 11 years ago, all that changed.
Woke up one morning and had a seizure. Discovered a brain tumor. It's devastating.
Now disabled, she says she lives on $928 a month from Social Security.
You're trying to figure out how you're going to make it from day one of this month to day one of next month.
It's why she applied for public housing. She says the first time was 2017.
Waiting list status?
Since then, she's applied to other CMHA properties too.
That's since June 24th of 2020.
What Anderson didn't know was as she waited for help, CMHA was celebrating. Social media posts show a who's who of Northeast Ohio leaders gathered inside the downtown Hilton Hotel last September for a gala to celebrate the Public Housing Agency's 90th anniversary. The price tag? According to records obtained by News 5 investigators, CMHA spent $121,249 on the party. Jeffrey Patterson is CMHA's chief executive officer.
There's a number of people that are in need of affordable housing continues to grow day by day.
And with that in mind, isn't it a bad look to spend that money on a gala instead of on housing people?
This was an opportunity for employees, resident leaders, people who have been committed to serving housing over the past 90 years to learn, reflect, and have an opportunity to get motivated, stay re-engaged.
But the idea of $88 a plate short rib and garlic smeared chicken dinners for 750 people?
Make me sick to my stomach to hear.
Ridiculous to Anderson. One meal at the gala equals 2 weeks of groceries for her.
Ooh, I can do a lot of magic with $88. Not because I want to, I have to.
Would you describe the gala as having been swanky or over the top?
What do you mean by swanky, Scott?
Luxury? I mean, $121,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah. I think it was an event that had a significant number of people who got an opportunity to enjoy themselves.
But CMHA residents we talked with,
oh man, we weren't there. No, sure wasn't.
Had other thoughts about the price tag for that celebration.
Ain't that a killer? I don't believe that, God dog.
From $949 for a red carpet and photo booth to $1,500 balloons.
That's sad. That's sad.
That's on top of $6,000 for decorations, nearly $4,500 for awards, a band, DJ, and more than $2,500 for take-home crystal paperweights for attendees. The bills have some questioning CMHA's priorities.
And they ain't won't do nothing for us? That's crazy. Right now, my water won't get hot.
Ridiculous, because they could be spending the money more on safety issues anyway.
Josiah Quarles from Northeast Ohio Coalition for the Homeless says realistically, $121,000 is not going to solve the county's housing needs, but says spending that money on a celebration downtown seems tone deaf.
It's hard when you're struggling and folks are partying, and they're supposed to be the providers for your stability. Like, that's challenging.
So where did that money come from? CMHA says part of it was ticket sales, the rest from sponsorships and donations. The total raised $119,398, not even enough to cover the cost of the gala. And we noticed something else. It wasn't corporate dollars footing the bill. Nearly half of the money raised came from two agencies tied to CMHA. $5,000 from its tenant housing organization, which gets its funding through CMHA, and $50,000 from the Western Reserve Revitalization and Management Company. That's CMHA's nonprofit arm. Patterson is vice president of the nonprofit.
Some people would say, well, it looks like the left hand's giving the right hand money.
The money that was given from Western Reserve was not given directly by one individual. It was given directly by the Western Reserve Board.
And you're on that board?
Yes, I am. I'm a member of the board.
Everyone on the board has ties to CMHA, correct?
At this time, yes.
Did you recuse yourself?
For your own self-centered pleasure, let's spend a shitload of money for a party for all of us who have, been working in the housing, authority. Can't you motivate people by bringing them out on the street, using that money to help people on the street, help the elderly who are struggling to pay their bills, walk around, and get that feeling of, wow, look at this. Look, we just saved an elderly woman from being put out on the street. Or We've helped people who are on the street. Can't we get motivated that way instead of our own self-centered pleasure? It's this pomp and circumstance and all of the money spent on parties and oh, haven't we done a great job? You know, it has always been an irritation for me. I've never understood it, but hey, it's also the division between the elite and the commoners, which has become so big now. The gap wide. Working and homeless Americans are living in their car. Yeah. I recommended once before, and I'm going to recommend again, Big Super Living in Arizona. Check out his channel. And he does a lot of good work.
Have 2 jobs and a degree, and you're homeless. The lady that we're going to meet with today, we're going to find out what she's experiencing working and being homeless.
This is where I normally end my day and start my day. So I usually sleep right here, and then I'm gonna show you where I go shower. It's just down the street. There's an open parking spot that I'm about to show you that I go take naps at over there too. If I'm not working, then I usually do my domestic stuff. Most of the time I'm picking up my son because I usually work morning shifts. So I help my baby daddy out with him. So I usually go pick him up if I have free time. And then usually I just try to stay cool or stay warm depending on the season. I got married at 20. It didn't work out. We didn't have no kids, of course. We ended up divorcing, and I moved from San Diego, and I ended up running out here. No kids. I was like 23, 24 years old. I met my son's father out here just on a whim through some mutual friends, and then next thing you know, baby came. I ended up getting pregnant my first year. So me and my baby daddy, we was not good for each other. You know, the baby kept us together, domestic violence, all that great stuff. We tried it on and off for 10 years, and he gave me this scar right here on my arm, and I was like, I'm good. Yeah. I grew up a little bit in an abusive home. My mom was a little bit of abusive. My dad wasn't in the home. My parents educated, owned a home, all that good stuff, but there was no love in the home. So my parents, they were married, they divorced when I was 10, so it kind of feels like I'm repeating history with my son, because like when he turned 10, that's when me and my son's father split. When I left my ex-husband, I moved back with my mom, and my mom kicked me out. That was the wrap. That's when I started experiencing homelessness. But this is another place that I sleep at. Like, this is a car right here. That's my neighbor. But these are like these are good areas right here. I used to work for Planet Fitness, so this was one place that I used to bathe at when I originally first started. I came here so much that they ended up hiring me. And that's how I learned how to live in my car, and it made it a little bit easier because a lot of homeless people come here and bathe. And I did not know that at the time. I've been out here in these streets for 3 years, and I've been through every summer. And I've done every error in regards to learning my lessons in regards to doubling up jobs or jobs. You need everything in close proximity, like especially like where your hygiene, because sitting in your car, even with AC, your hygiene is still gonna go. So for me, that was like my biggest thing, because I did not want to smell, or you know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, just to keep me sane, right? This is my other job right here.
So you have two jobs.
Mm-hmm. And I go get my car washed over here. Yep.
2 jobs. So Silent Walk, what are you talking about? They always have a word salad excuse. What does that mean? They always have a word salad excuse. I don't get what that means. And here is America's homelessness crisis is worse than ever. I'll put the link in if you're interested. But it is. The numbers are just going up and up and up and up. Up and up. And there are so many people who are now posting videos on how to handle being homeless. Tips for the homelessness. How to handle being homeless. Betrayed. Betrayal is a very hard thing to deal with. A whole lot. I can't see how anybody could get through life without being betrayed and without betraying someone. And it's not a good thing. It's very important to honor your word. Your word is everything. It's true. It's not a trite saying. It's true. Your word is everything. And it takes an awful lot of work to actually understand that what you say, your word, when you give your word to someone, that you honor it, you get to understand the importance of that. And when you do some of that serious thinking, serious considering of the serious things in life, you get to see how serious that is. And you get to see how many people don't live their word. And in our country, it really does take an awful lot of work on your own self to get yourself to be somebody who, when they speak, they know that their words are true and they will honor them.
Betrayal. I think, do you know, when you betrayed, someone betrays you and betrays your trust, it's like a knife that cuts into your soul.
And she is quite right. Quite right. Oh, okay, Silent Walk, get it. I get it now. But, yeah. And how many knives are cutting into people's souls all over. All over. Don't be a person who cuts into somebody's soul. Biden agrees to sign bill that could ban TikTok if Congress passes it. Really? Ban the video sharing app TikTok from the United States on national security grounds. It's called Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act. Now that's laughable. That's laughable. But Trump just sold out. Bizarre TikTok flip-flop followed meeting with hedge fund manager who has $30 billion investment in TikTok. Oh, really? Trump is going to be my savior? He's going to save us all? Can't you see? He was the one when president was talking about banning TikTok. National security. It's a national security issue because it's China's social media. It is the CCP, Communist Party, collecting all the data on an awful lot of Americans. Okay, he was talking about banning it, Trump, and now he's all for it. But wait, Biden, Biden actually, just a couple of weeks ago, posted his first TikTok video. So he's posting a TikTok video, joining TikTok, Biden, and now he wants to ban it? on national security grounds? Foreign adversaries? China planted mystery devices on cranes used in U.S. ports, could seize control remotely. Oh. We're just such a full of shit people, man. It's government, it's mainstream media. Ugh, we're just... Can you feel it? I can feel it. You need anchors in life. The human being is a social species that needs anchors of substance, and we don't have them. We just don't have them. So is this a surprise? It's not a surprise to me. Not at all. That they have mysterious devices on cranes where they could take control of the cargo at the nation's largest ports. You do know that our government surveillance cameras made in China? Okay. Oh boy. The lengths the Zionists are willing to go to deceive and lie are staggering.
Under the sticker, and now they simply put a photo of Mexico sticker on the top. So you bought this.
Now, is that the Zionists? Or is it also their partners in crime placing those stickers on the back? Basil from Israel. No! Because a whole lot of people are just not buying Israeli products. So we'll just put a sticker on it that says from Mexico. It's not just Zionists. We can't go there because there's an awful lot of people who contribute to this evil. And they don't care. Over 140,000 farms lost in 5 years. Between 2017 and 2022. The number of farms in the U.S. declined by 141,733. 33. Wow, that's a lot. Farmers, American farmers, start taking maybe using the Europeans as an example, doing something to protect yourselves. Because those who have already gone down, there's a whole lot more that will be going as well. Automakers are sharing consumers' driving behavior with insurance companies. Okay, what does that mean? How could that end up biting you? Well, all of these new cars with their sensors, with the surveillance, knowing how fast you're going, knowing how you're driving, and sharing it with your insurance companies. Could the insurance company raise your rates? Yeah, absolutely. If you're in an accident, well, the proof will be in the pudding. How about medical insurance? Supermarkets sending your information to your medical insurer. What could happen? Oh, they bought Coca-Cola and potato chips. We're going to raise your rates. No joke, this is coming. And, all right. The fire department chief in New York vows to hunt down his own employees who booed the Attorney General, Letitia James. Hunt down. Those words spoken. Vowed to hunt down pro-Trump staffers who were caught on video booing Letitia James during a Thursday ceremony. Oh. If you are a government official, you don't have free speech. You can't offer your opinion on anything if it's against, which is essentially the leftist narrative. Texas couple still in shock after being locked up at urgent care clinic? Yeah. Crazy.
But not really. A Texas couple still in shock after being locked in an urgent care clinic.
Yeah, so Austin and Rada Jennings say staff at the clinic locked up for the night and left them in a patient room as they waited for care.
Now, as Jessica Wiley tells us, they want an apology.
I made an appointment for 6. They said that was the earliest they could see me.
Sick with strep throat and the flu for more than a week, Austin Jennings went with his wife to Mont Bellevue Urgent Care Tuesday evening. The doctor prescribed a breathing treatment. The nurse brought it in and promised to be back when Austin was finished. They said they heard some goodbyes.
Like, all right, we'll see you guys later.
Yeah.
And, I'm thinking, okay, front desk probably just leaving, because obviously we're there.
Yeah, we're there.
The office grew quiet.
Like really, really quiet.
Really quiet. Really quiet. You could hear a pin drop in there.
The couple remained in their assigned patient room, but as time passed, they became concerned.
I was like, man, what if they forgot about us?
Yeah.
Like, we just kind of been sitting here for a while. And he's like, no, they didn't forget about us. And I was like, I don't know, man. And then he's like, okay, well, I have to go to the bathroom, so I'll just go check. And I'm like, yeah, go ahead. That's a good idea. Opens the door, and it's just pitch black.
Pitch black, and the alarm just starts going crazy.
The alarm triggered the security company's monitoring center, and the woman on the other end of the speaker was just as baffled.
The alarm lady was like, hey, everything okay? And we're like, all right, no.
The couple called Mont Bellevue police, who confirmed their response.
So we finally escaped the urgent care.
2 hours later, they were back in their car.
How do you miss people being in a room?
2 days later, the couple are still perplexed, especially since they haven't heard from the business.
It's unacceptable. This should be made right. If I do so, I'm a business owner. If I do something wrong, it's my job to acknowledge it and make it right.
Attorney Donnelly Smith has stepped in to try to facilitate a refund for the $50 copay, the prescription Austin went for, and an apology.
So we got left inside the... What do we do?
The couple feel it's not a big ask.
Just something, an acknowledgement of like an apology.
What do you expect from Americans? Come on. An apology? Come on. Any acknowledgement? Call from the urgent care center? All right. I'm seeing that people are having buffering or something's going on. Yeah. Life, man. It's become something. There are no words. There are just no words to describe what this life is now in our fabulous USA, USA, USA. All right, guys. Thank you for showing up. Do hope to see you tomorrow. I'm going to have to talk, but I'm scared of you guys now. Not all of you, but a whole lot. But I have to talk because I don't have any outlet, so I have to talk. But I have I recognize that I have been shut up because I just don't want to get kicked down anymore by the shitty people out there. But I have to talk. It's gotta happen because I've been holding everything inside. And yeah. What to do, what to do. I really feel for all of those people whose lives have been destroyed. And we've got millions of them. It's not lost on me. I see them every single day. Now, I had to go somewhere here, and this guy who's in the middle of a main road, just asking, for money. And I gave him some, and I spoke to him, and he said, I'm 57 years old, and I can't get a job anywhere. And he looked, perfectly fine. He didn't look like a drug addict, didn't look like an alcoholic. Can't get a job anywhere. So he's out on the street. It's humiliating. It's horrifying. We've got to bring our best selves to life. Yes, we do. We have to live honestly and speak honestly. We've got to learn how to listen to people so that we can understand what they're going through. Because if you don't, then you can't be of any kind of solace to that person. You gotta listen to people without your experience. Don't filter as you're listening to people. Filter what they're saying via your experience and then come at them. You sure as hell can't give any kind of solace that way. But it's also a slap in the face because they realize that you haven't listened. There's an awful lot of work that we need to do on our own self personally. And that work never stops. Yeah. Live honestly, speak honestly. Develop yourself as a trustworthy human being. I hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you for showing up tonight. Be safe out there. Awareness, awareness, awareness of your surroundings, of your own self, of others in close proximity. And on that note, I say good night and good luck. Ciao, guys.